conversation, we'll be talking about some lessons repeat until they are learned, right? We gotta take in consideration if the same situation keeps showing up for you in different forms, right? It's not a coincidence. It might just be a lesson asking for your attention, right? We gotta be intuitive. We gotta know what's going on. Keep your eyes open, right? We gotta learn from our lessons, right? We can be able to improve, right? So many people feel as if that they're frustrated or ashamed when they keep repeating the same patterns, right? It can look like same relationship dynamic, mistakes that keep happening over and over, or even the same outcome, right? For instance, off rip, right? For those out there that keep getting them damn speeding tickets, right? Slow it down. This is a pattern. We got to recognize it, you know what I mean? And we got to improve our ways, right? And you ain't the only one that's going through these experiences, right? But we have to be intuitive. We have to do what's beneficial for us, because if you guys, you know what I mean, don't know what's going on out here, you could lose your license, right? You may not be able to even get behind the wheel again, right? So we have to be able to take in consideration, because if these patterns are showing a concern, like a warning sign, right? We have to be able to take this in consideration. So our attention is here, so we're not going to be in a situation where we're deprived of anything, right? Even for instance, out there too, right? People out here, keep it a buck with y'all, right? Having babies very early, not really being intuitive to what's going on around you, right? The economy, right? The price of living, cost of housing, right? A lot of things that play into that dynamic. And people say that you don't have to be ready, or no one's ready, going to be a good parent. There's so many different things, and everybody's culture is going to be different, right? But you have to be thinking about what's going to be beneficial for you, right? So you can learn from others, right? You can learn from other people's mistakes. You can learn from other people's repeated, you know what I mean, situations, right? But we have to be, like I said, looking at these lessons with a critical thinking, right? And really trying to examine this and really make the improvements for the future, right? So pulling it back into some psychoeducation, right? The brain is wired for familiarity, right? So even if it's unhelpful, resolved experiences often drive repeated choices and reactions. And when it comes to awareness alone, it's always isn't enough when it comes to change is different for every response, right? So everybody's gonna respond differently when it comes to the situation. The brain keeps doing what it's used to, right? When it comes to unfamiliar experiences as well, reactions are just trying to get closer to what we know, what we do is best, right? So I really want to take consideration that we may have a pattern, but we have to be able to break the pattern, right? Which is easier said than done, but we have to, like I said, we have to do what's best, because if not, we're going to be in the same situation, right? I got to call it how it is, because this is just what the brain's operating, how it operates as well. It sticks to the sticky situation of what's familiarity. What we got to improve our ways. We got to be able to, like I said, change these patterns, right? So patterns persist until something in your behavior, boundaries, or your belief shifts, right? So once you recognize within yourself that this ain't right, this is wrong, I got to be able to improve. You got to be honest to yourself. You got to be accountable, right? Sometimes these emotions are rough. They make us feel some type of way, but we have to be able to address it so we don't have to have the same pattern happen over and over and over again, right? And if we need that support,